Hi everyone, welcome back to Healthy Cheer with Lo. As you know, I'm Lo, and today I'm gonna continue my story because I promised I would tell you, and for the past few weeks I have been trying to work up the courage to tell everyone the details, and I've also been trying to work up the story, basically. I wanted to figure out how I wanted to tell my story. And I was initially planning on doing it in a series of videos, like age 11 to 13, 13 to 15, 15, and so on. But I think I'm just going to try and knock it out in one video. I don't want to go too deep into it because it can be triggering to those of you watching if anyone ends up watching this video. And I also don't want to get too into it because it could trigger me, and I don't want to do that either. So I'm just going to kind of brush through it really quick because I really want to be authentic on this channel, and I really want to be open and transparent with you guys, and I want you guys to know about me too, so I don't just seem like this stranger on the internet telling you what to do. Like, I want to establish some rapport here. And so without further ado, we shall get into my story. I have mascara on. I will try not to cry. So my eating disorder started, I must have been 13 or 14, and it started right around the time I was quitting gymnastics because I had kind of hit a wall with the sport, and that got me down. And my cat is here to say hello. Say hello. Anyway, and so that kind of got me down, and that was the point. I can't remember if I was 13 or 14 when I tried out for my high school cheer team. I must have been 14, or just about to turn 14. I think I was 2012. Yeah. Anyway, I tried out for my cheerleading team, and I really wanted to be a flyer. I had done acrobatic gymnastics, and I had been both a top girl and a base, and I just preferred being on top. And so I really wanted to be a flyer. And of course, in my head, that was my ED voice telling me, I was thinking I'm too big to be the flyer. So I wasn't really eating. I went through a period of restriction then. And then I did get placed as a flyer that year, and I was terrible at it all year. I kind of sucked, actually, and I realized that it was because I didn't like being in the air after all. But before I had realized that, in that time leading up to that realization, I was engaging in all sorts of behaviors, namely binging and purging during that year. Just trying, because my ED voice was in my head, and it was telling me it was my weight. It was my weight that was the problem. When it wasn't. I was just scared. But the next year I got placed as a base. No, that was sophomore year. About halfway through sophomore year, I switched to basing. Halfway through my sophomore year, on my high school cheer team, I switched to basing. And I felt a lot better, but obviously that ED voice popped up in my head, it's your weight. However, I kind of had a good year that year. Junior year, I was fine. I was still basing. I was loving it. And then I had this serious relationship with this guy. Well, a serious, high school serious, of course, looking back now. And when that ended, or even a little before that ended, just when the problems started, I noticed myself beginning to use symptoms more. Again, this was the binging and purging. And I started therapy. I must have been 16, maybe nearly 17 at this point. And so I started seeing this therapist, and that was my parents' idea, and I hated it. I was so angry for being forced to go, and my parents had threatened to not let me go to nationals if I didn't go. So there was no question to me, and that was where it sort of came in, where I felt like no one understood that relationship between cheerleading and an eating disorder. And anyway, 3 or 4 months later, I had quit. I was fine. I was doing fine. And then I moved away to college the next year. College was very up and down, as it is. And then just this past fall semester, the fall of 2019, I got kind of bad again. Pretty bad. And I started treatment again, per the request of my mom's boyfriend, who I must give a shout out to. You're amazing. But I started the treatment on November 11th. And so I'm actually coming up on my 6 months later this week or early next week. And so I think the point of this is for me to show you guys I'm very early in my recovery process. I'm very, very early. So I want to be there for you guys as sort of that middleman, because I know when I was beginning my recovery, I was watching YouTube videos of people who had been 5, 6, 7, 10 years in recovery, and that all felt too far away from me. It felt like they were so far ahead of me, I couldn't relate. And so that's when I had this idea to do this YouTube channel, which has been so helpful for me, and I've learned so much. I've done primarily outpatient because I am a full-time student and I also work. So things like IOP just haven't really been realistic for me, mainly because I have to pay my bills, whereas when I was in high school, I feel like I should have taken advantage of the fact that I could have done IOP probably and had no conflict. But I completely advocate for IOP. That is a fantastic program. My friends who have gone through IOP they have wonderful things to say. But anyway, I personally have never done it. I'm thinking about doing it this summer. So I'll obviously keep you guys up to date with that. And anyway, like I was saying, I wanted to be more of a relatable person to you because I'm still earlier in the journey. And I wanted to use that position for good, obviously, and I feel like I've learned a lot, even just in the 6 months that it's been, and to share that is awesome, and it's helping me. I mean, I have to say, I didn't really think that it would do all that good for me. I thought it would just be a neutral thing. It wouldn't hurt me, but it wouldn't help me necessarily, but it is helping me, and reading your guys' comments has been awesome. But yeah, anyway, that's sort of my story. It sprung from sports, and even though it sprung from gymnastics, cheerleading furthered it. The pressure to stay small, the pressure to stay in shape for tumbling and to be strong and yet small at the same time, it was a lot, and I get it. And I think that a lot of healthcare professionals just don't quite get it. So anyway, that's my story. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I just didn't want to ramble forever and ever and ever. And I didn't cry. So that's pretty good. So anyway, I will see you guys soon. Today we're all making progress, not aiming for perfection, and this includes me as well. Every day, a little bit of progress.